His presentation title is High Impact Practices, Andragogy and Higher Education Teaching, Learning, and Student Experience.
To fill in for one of our colleagues who isn't here. So what I'm going to be talking about are high impact practices, andragogy, which is like pedagogy but for adults, higher education teaching, learning, and student experiences. Most of you in here either work at a university or are affiliated with a university and have somebody who pays money or attends your university for an experience. So these are the topics I'll talk about briefly. We talk about andragogy. We're going to talk about what HIPs are. We call them HIPs, which are called, high impact practices. How does it impact students and faculty? Types of teaching and learning, because there's various types here in the United States. And then I'm going to talk about my Emerge project, which is a high impact practice that is very unique. Capstone portfolios, tools for implementing these, and then we'll do some questions and you can look at my references. So what is andragogy? Has anyone ever heard that? Yeah, the other day we were talking about it. And it's basically pedagogy, but for adults. How do adults learn? How do adults acquire knowledge? And it's interesting because you'll see these are some of the basic, Knowles talked about this in 1984. These are some of the core principles that adults need to learn. And if you read these and then apply them to how you teach your courses, it'd be interesting to see, is this how you're teaching your adult students? Because they're all adults. We're not teaching, especially me, I teach graduate level work. So most of my students are older than me. So I know they're adults, because I'm an adult, at least most of the time. If you ask my wife, 50% of the time. So they need to know how things are being taught. Adults want to know, right? Kids, you can tell them 1 + 1 is 2 because I said so. Not an adult. They want to know, well, why? Instruction should be task-oriented instead of memorization. Uh-oh. Right? Instruction should take into account a wide range of different backgrounds, like today. I'm in education. My background is being a teacher and a school leader. I know nothing about computers, but I love to come and listen to you guys because it's fascinating to me. Okay? Since adults are self-directed, they should be allowed to discover things on their own. Kind of like what Dr. Steiner was talking about earlier with team-based learning. Adults need to be involved in the planning of their learning. My mother is a vice president of a bank in Tampa, and she's the head of their training, their corporate training. And I asked her this. I said, how do you teach your adults? We give them this manual. They take a test. They pass the test. They get the job. Okay. How about ongoing training? Do they get to develop? Do they get any say in what they want to learn? No. Big bank in Tampa. Experience. Adults want to know that you care that they're an expert. Maybe not undergraduate students, but I know my students, they all want you to know they were a super teacher. I'm the best teacher in this county, and I do this, and I do that. And they like to brag, and it's okay. And they want to know what's immediate relevance. We see that a lot with undergraduate students. How's this going to help me get a job? That's that millennial group, because they're the ones that are facing a tough job market. How are we going to get a job? So, I'm talking about andragogy because high-impact practices, when you implement these in your courses, they hit on those topics from 30 years ago, from 1984. So we're going to talk about what's a first-year seminar and an experience. And these are what the American Association of Colleges and Universities, this is their big push to increase student learning and making education more robust for the students so that they have an experience. Not so much instruction, but more of education, which we learned the other day there's a very big difference. And this goes to what you guys were talking about the other day is, what is your core and why do you teach? Why are you a faculty member at a university? Okay? And these are tools to help you improve that why. So we'll talk about first-year seminars, okay? Common intellectual experiences, pretty big. Think tanks. I don't have an example for that, but I do have an example for learning communities and writing intensive courses. In Florida, especially at the undergraduate level, they have the Gordon Rule still, right? I started my career at USF, and I remember taking that freshman English class, and you got to write 15,000 words or something like that.
1,500 now, so it's
oh,
a little bit,
well, times have changed. It was more then. But I think if you incorporate writing into your courses, it's always going to help improve the student learning. Collaborative assignments and courses, undergraduate research, which is a big push, because we all do graduate research with our students, right? We have those superstar master students. Some of you are here, the master students. Doing with undergraduate is kind of unheard of. A freshman coming out of high school wants to come and do a research project. I'll show you an example of that. Diversity and global learning, you've seen those where you go do a study abroad or you do a study away. Immerse yourself into a culture, learn about the culture, and understand that understanding other cultures will impact you other than just learning the content of your course. Service learning or community-based learning, and of course capstone courses and projects. So this is what a first-year seminar experience, and if any of these interest you, I can pull it up. I just click on that link and we'll pull up the project and you can read about the project. But we don't have to go through all of them because there's so many. But what is our first year seminar? Okay, so you're a freshman, you're coming into the university of whatever you're at, right? Think about when you were 18, 16 in certain parts of the world. You're scared, you're nervous, you don't have any friends. I was talking to a colleague here who's sending their son, they're from India, they're sending their son to Texas A&M Kingsville. He asked me 1,000 questions in an hour. Well, tell me about Kingsville. What's it like in Texas? Do they like Indian people? Okay? Right? You were there. You remember that? Okay, my question is, what is your son like? He's the one who's got to go to college, Dad. And I told him, he's the one who's got to be there. He's going to be fine. Because UTAMU, as they're called, Texas A&M University, Kingsville, has a first-year freshman orientation course that throughout the year they learn where things are. Where's the Indian Student Union? Where's the Nigerian Student Union? Where are all these schools, programs that my child can get involved in? They show them where they are. That's a high-impact practice. Because it's not just learning about the content, English 101, you're learning how to live, how to be a human, how to be a person and survive, which is a miss. That ancillary learning is missed in a lot of places because you're focused on all these students have to know all this stuff. But if they don't know why they have to know that stuff, it's useless knowledge sometimes. So what's a learning community? Daniel Drost, Dr. Drost, is 6'10". He played basketball. I love hanging out with him because I played college football, and he's so towering, but he's the nicest person you ever met. And he did his on physical education and had new teachers paired up with students on learning pedagogy for physical education. So again, these help undergraduate students transition into their field. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? High-impact practices also focus on underserved populations. First-time generation students. First-time college students. Mom and Dad didn't go to college. I'm here. I know nothing about college. I have no expectation of what college is supposed to be like. These help those students get involved so that they can have a more robust experience. It increases achievement and it decreases retention and students dropping out of college. Collaborative assignments and courses, okay? Learning to work and solve problems. This one is great. I know you guys are going to want to see the robotics one. She did her robotics project, from what I remember, it was virtual, but it actually would move a robot in a different location. And students had to sign up to practice using the robot to, pick up balls and do different things.
Just five words there.
Yeah.
In addition to by listening seriously, you sharpen your own understanding by trying to explain it to others.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Oh, yeah. And that's one of the ancillary learning things of doing this, is that as a faculty member, you get better. You sharpen your skills, and you start to see, wow, this is meaningful, and it helps you feel refreshed. Instead of, here's the book I've been using, here's the syllabus I've been using, everything's due July 26th, everything's due May 16th. There's no late work. If you have a discussion board, post an original and respond to 2. If you were at my previous lecture, you know I'm not a fan of discussion boards. So, undergraduate research. Dr. Bridges did his with exercise science, and it was a freshman in college and her mom who was a doctoral student. And they worked together with Dr. Bridges to track some data, and then they prepared a paper and they sent it in and presented at a conference. 18 years old. What a great experience. She didn't have to wait till she was a doctoral student like her mom. She got to do it right away. Diversity and global learning. Basically, you're immersing into different cultures. And Dr. Edler, she took a group of students, and in American history, we have a bad time about slavery, and during the Civil War, Harriet Tubman was a woman who was freeing slaves from the South into the North. And what she did, it was kind of like a study away, but they were in a bus, and they went to every stop on in America they call it the Underground Railroad. And they went to every stop, and they learned about the different people that were involved. And they got to experience what it felt like to cross the Ohio River in a boat. Not a boat, a boat. And the students came back, and we had a symposium, and some of the experiences the students said it was life-changing. And my students said the same thing coming back from my Emerge project, that it was life-changing. These are the type of things that you can do, and they're really not that much work. Because that's what immediately I thought when they were like, you're going to be an Emerge Scholar, Dr. Amos. I was like, hey, I don't have time. I'm an assistant professor. I got to publish, or I'm going to go find a new job. No, you can do this. If I can do it, I know all of you can do it. Chris Cotton was a brand new faculty member, and he works with a group called Hearts in Motion, I think it's called. They're in Guatemala, and what they do is service learning. And he is the director of our social work department. And he took a group of students to Guatemala, and they worked at a preschool, they worked at a local hospital, and they did that work that they're not going to be able to get in Florida. They're not going to be able to get those experiences. Again, this is about experiences. Yes, I can give you this information. You can give information to anybody. You can get your education in a library. If I can find out what textbook you have, I can read it. Well, it's the experience that makes learning education and not just information. Capstone courses. Okay, I teach the capstone course in our program, and our program is the largest ed leadership program in the state of Florida. Us and Florida State are the only 100% online programs. I got 7 students to fly to Las Vegas, Nevada to work in Clark County School District for a week. I'd never met them before. They spent $3,000 to meet me there, and we had a blast. We worked in the schools. They got to meet all different kinds of principals, teachers, and students. 2 of those students that went on that trip have applied for jobs as administrators because of that experience. Everybody thought I was crazy. You're never going to get You're never going to be able to get 7 people to fly to Las Vegas, and they never met you, Dr. Amos. Sure I can. That's what a telephone's for, right? Matt Crow, he's in our criminal justice department. His capstone experience is they do mock trial, too, where they bring in the criminal justice students that are graduating. So, and we can go back and I can show you some of them if you'd like. But how does this impact students? Think about your own experience, right? It might be foreign to you to text a professor, to communicate freely with professors. My office hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. My wife hates it. She doesn't like people texting me and calling me at 7:59. Dr. Amos, I need help. But again, why am I here? Why am I in this job? Am I in this job for convenience? And I teach online, and that's one of the main reasons people take online. Oh, it's so convenient. I don't make it convenient for my students. I remove all their reasons why they can't be the best student. Well, I couldn't contact you because you weren't in your office. You can call me, you can text me, you can tweet me, you can Facebook me, and you can email me. If you can't find me in those 5 areas, then I've gone up to heaven. I'm no longer with us. So it increases the depth, that experience. Has anyone in here ever been on, maybe as a student or a faculty member, a study away or a study abroad? Anybody? Just me? Study abroad? Like as a faculty? Well, that's a foreign exchange student. But I'm saying yeah.
But that depends in which country you were born.
Well, I mean, have you ever taken a group of students to England? No. Have you ever taken a group of students to America? Have you ever done a study away? Maybe you're in Tampa, you're taking them to Atlanta to work at Anderson Consulting. No, right? It's new. It's a new thing. Yeah, have you? Okay. What a great experience. Where did they come from?
From Mexico. I have 25 from Mexico, and we have 20 from different parts of the world. We met there, and it was great.
Yeah. What was the feedback? What did you hear from your students? The best in the world. Oh, what a great trip, right?
We had people from India, from China, from Russia. So they didn't know about people from other countries. So that was a way to meet people. Very easy.
Right. It's a great opportunity if you get a chance to, even if you just take them to another city. You don't have to take them to all around the world. It's nice if you can, when you can afford that. But some universities don't have those finances. Take them to somewhere different, something different. Take them out of their comfort zone so that they can have a cultural experience. Because Las Vegas is very different than Pensacola. New York City is very different than rural Mississippi. Atlanta is different than Wisconsin. Right? Delhi is different than Mumbai. Okay? So maybe you take them there and see, what they're doing there in your field. Provides that robust experience. And robust means the depth of knowledge. Right? We teach our kids it's very thin when they're young because they can't ingest so much information. As you get older, what you learn goes like this, but it also goes like this. Right? You start to hone in your specific area, so you increase the depth of knowledge. It becomes more robust. This allows that to happen. Has anyone ever been to Italy? Okay? I've never been to Italy, but I love pizza. Okay? There's a big difference to saying, I've eaten pizza, so I know what Italy's like. Right? You want to know what Italy's like, you got to go to Italy. There's no book, there's no website, there's no virtual tour, there's nothing that can replace stepping out and looking at Pisa. Is it going to fall over? I think it's going to fall over. Do you think it's going to fall over? Okay? Or walking in and seeing the Sistine Chapel. I can pull it up right now, but there's nothing, the smells, the tastes, everything. That is part of learning. My wife is what we call a helicopter parent. Does anyone know what a helicopter parent is? No, 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 don't do that, don't do that. What am I? I sit back and I watch. I'm like, he's going to fall. He's definitely going to fall. He's going to fall. He's going to fall. Yeah, he's going to fall. And boom, he fell. And I go over, you okay? He's like, I'm okay. But how did he learn? Does he learn by going, no, 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 you can't do that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. You're going to break your hand. How do you know an iron's hot? Has anyone ever burned their hand on an iron? On an iron you iron your clothes with?
On the other hand, it's not wise to let them stick their hand in a bad vest.
No, but it's that risk management. Right? You're not going to let them jump off a building, right? But you have to experience. Has anyone ever seen the movie Finding Nemo? Right? The greatest line in that movie is Dori, the little blue fish, tells the other fish, she goes, Finding Nemo is about a father trying to find his son who is taken. And the father says, I promised I would never let anything happen to him. And the other fish says, that's a weird thing to promise. And he goes, why? He goes, well, if you don't let anything happen to him, then nothing would ever happen to him. Right? I know not to touch the iron because I burned my hand once. Now, if you keep burning your hand, it's no longer the iron's fault. It's your fault, right? But you do it once.
Maybe you want to be thorough.
Right, is it still hot? Is it still hot? But that's what this is about. That's what high-impact practices are about. It's not just that 2 inches of information. It's about the depth and why you're here. Why does a university pay you? Yes, you might be the researcher of the century. You might publish 8,000 books. But if you can't teach my daughter why something is the way it is, and she's 4, are you really a professor? I don't know. I'm not saying this is the answer to that, but I think there is a lack of depth when it comes to instruction and education. It increases student achievement, especially students who do not come from what we call traditionally academic families. I was one of those kids. My mom, when I was 6 years old, left me on the side of the road and drove away in Miami, Florida. I'm one of 5 children. I won't go through their problems, but they have a lot of problems. I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. I used that experience not as my excuse for failure, but my reason for success. And there's a big difference there. I was that student. I had no idea what college was about. I had no frame of reference. But I knew education was my only way out of poverty. I knew that was my only way to change my experience. Because I was tired of eating garbage. That was my only way out. So I did anything and everything I could. Band, football, you name it. If there was a club and they had food, I was there. I didn't care. That was my K-12 experience. And when I got to college, I got involved immediately because I knew the more information I could gather, the more, I don't want to say powerful, but the more power and influence I could have eventually to change my situation. It decreases student retention. Yeah, it increases student retention. What I mean decrease, meaning they don't not graduate. Meaning we're not retaining them. Yeah, no, we're pushing them out of the university, meaning they're graduating.
They're kept through the program.
Yes. And it refreshes your courses. How many people have been teaching the same course for more than 6 semesters?
But the same 30 or 40 courses.
Right. Right? At the University of West Florida, we have what's called QM, which is Quality Matters, which is a program we put all our courses through, which is a rubric, and it says, are you impacting students in these various areas? Okay? And I like the name that it's called Quality Matters, because quality matters. It might not matter to you, but when you have a student who's paying $1,500 to sit down in front of you for 16 weeks, it matters to them. Because I think students are very savvy when it comes to, oh, I can just take Dr. Amos. He's easy. You take 2 tests, you read this article, you write about it, and you're done. Right? Did anybody have professors like that? I could name you 10. Right? When I mean refresh course, it doesn't mean you throw everything out, right? But maybe you build on something that you're doing. Maybe you didn't even know you were doing high impact practices. Maybe you require them to do a portfolio. We go through ours every year in our program because as the director, I find value in this for my students, and it shows because my students tell me, because I survey them outside of our university survey. What did you like? And I built rapport with them enough that they can say, Dr. Amos, that is terrible. And I go, okay, well, we're gonna.
All the credits, how you did that with the university about
now,
fresh courses and the credits.
Now you can add these projects to a current course, or you can create a new course for credit. Now, Chris Cotton's is a course on its own, where he takes the students to Guatemala. It's a 3-week course. It's intensive. And it meets all the requirements by the state of Florida for the contact hours, which I think is 45 contact hours. They do obviously more than that, spending 3 weeks in Guatemala. So, yeah, faculty-led. So, you can create new courses. You deal with the political side of that when, well, we only have this much room to add. It's much easier to say, you know what, I teach this course. How can I fit something in here? One of these types of high-impact practices. These are different types of teaching and learning, right? Traditional. Welcome to the University of Pluto. I'm Professor Amos. For the next 16 weeks, I will be your enemy, right? You remember that guy? Some of you are that guy. I know it. Some of you aren't, okay? Online learning, it is not going away. It's not a fad. It's not, hey, it is here. It is not going away. You better embrace it or you're going to get left behind. Maybe not at the traditional powerhouse universities, but a lot of major universities in the United States, they offer hybrid or online teaching. And a hybrid is both. Online portion of the course and face-to-face. Then, of course, you have undergraduate, graduate, and professional development. In all these areas, no matter what you teach or what you instruct or how you are involved in it, you can change just a little bit to make it more robust for your students. So I want to share a video with you of my Emerge project. And I hope this works.
In March of 2014, a group of students with UWS Emerge Project visited...
So when I presented that, I told them that was one of our students getting arrested. The provost was not happy. I was like, I'm just kidding.
This is what they learned.
Steven, this guy right here, flew from Taiwan, Chinsu City, to meet me. Never met him before in my life. I'm pretty fun, though. So.
I got to come with 6th grade people, not only Dr. Amos.
That's the #1 STEM elementary school in the country, Bracken.
At 5 of my cohorts.
Been a blue ribbon school for the last 8 years.
So not only did I get to see it through my own filter, I got to see and experience what we learn here about what's happening through the ideas of my cohorts, my fellow students.
I really liked how kids were pulled out of their class
Look at the different types of students I have. That's the high school I used to be the principal at in Las Vegas. That's Greg. He's one of my good buddies. This student got, that student right there, he just got hired in Clark County School District. He's from Florida Virtual School. And that's where we did our service learning.
And to get back on track, back on the grade level, and to get back with their fellow students.
Considering the fact that they're going to utilize a blended environment and try and integrate technology into how they remediate students as well as assign prescriptive courses, I think is an innovative idea that many districts could benefit from actually placing in.
We're talking about how you arrest a child.
The lessons that Dr. Amos was able to give us were the lessons from outside the classroom. It was about human. It was about being human. It was about contact. It was about that education is a business about people. And he reinforced that, and we were able to see that.
That's the worst music ever for a video, just so you know. I hate that music, but I didn't make the video.
I think I've seen worse.
Yeah. So that's what high impact practices are. That's just one example. And I can, if anybody wants to see more examples, I have all of our colleagues, all 32 of us who are emerged scholars at the University of West Florida. It's a big push in education to create that robust feeling that students are getting, so that they're getting that ancillary learning and that depth of learning. So another area that I use it is for my capstone portfolio. I won't bother you with it, but Stephen Kravac, what it is it's their way to exit interview. And I use Live Collaborate with online students, and they do a recording and a presentation of their entire academic career. And what I do is I send these to people who hire the positions that they're looking for. So they're getting free interviews. It's just a way for me to help my students get jobs, which 7 of our students got principal jobs, which a principal is a school leader. So, and these are just some tools, American Association of Colleges and Universities, and then they have a list of outcomes. They have a list of principles that you should be using when developing these courses, and then, of course, that's a link to our UWF Emerge